Hello friends, it's Greg here on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel, and I have an eBay store where I sell vintage magazine print advertising. Every week I put together a video to show you what's sold in my store, and this past week I sold 5 items for a total of $97.85. And we're going to take a look at those sales in just a minute. Also, each week I include a bonus topic in my videos about selling on eBay, and this week's topic is too much information, and it's a discussion about what you disclose to buyers in your listing. So stay tuned for that. First, let's take a look at those ads. All right, friends, I've got so much to go over this week, and you'd think with only 5 sales that it might be a short video, but there really is some fun and interesting things to talk about. These ads, of course, the ads are always great, and so every week is a feature in itself. But also, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the slow sales and what I am doing and what I plan to do to turn that around. So, first of all, you'll notice on this ad right over here, it says that this ad was sold with 30% off. You'll remember just a couple of videos ago that I talked about some ads that I had pieced out of magazines early on when I started selling ads to back them and sleeve them and put them in a local consignment store where I did sell a lot of vintage ads. But I pulled some stock from that store, and when I listed them online, some of them I had lost track of the actual years. This one I was able to determine the year of this ad. It's 1964. It's an ad for Republic Steel based in Cleveland, Ohio. But you'll notice up there at the top that the custom SKU label MSC 5F-100, those are full page ads of miscellaneous years. And so that MSC denotes those first ads that I pulled and put up for sale on eBay. Altogether, there's 14 SKUs that start with MSC. And when I told you a couple of weeks ago that my current promotion of 10% off had ended and that I needed to make decisions about how and what to promote in my store, I've not talked to you about it yet, but I decided to mark down those 14 SKUs by 30%. Those SKUs, when I went in and searched active listings using that MSC portion of the SKU label, it showed me 302 ads that were marked down in this sale. Nothing else is on sale in my store right now. This is the first and so far only ad that I've sold at 30% off, but it maybe did play a part in the sale. So originally this ad was priced at $16.77. It's from 1964. I don't know what title of magazine it was in, but after 30% off, it brought $11.74. Let's talk about the ad itself because this is a cool piece of history right here. In the title of the ad for Republic Steel, it says that they have a double date with Agena. Now, Agena, I went and read a little bit about it. It was an unmanned docking station that was launched into space, and then a little while later, NASA launched a Gemini mission, a Gemini space capsule aboard a Titan II rocket with 2 astronauts on board, and they docked with that Agena capsule or Agena module. And in this ad here, let's see if I can, well, I can't freeze it, but I'm going to move it here, and you can see one astronaut peeping out this little window right here and another astronaut peeping out this little window right here. And that is the Gemini capsule that's going to dock with Agena. And it says the Agena D module is an unmanned rocket loaded with fuel, and they'll be docking while both are traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. So just a cool piece of history there, a part of the early space program, and I sold that for $11.74. It's on its way to Arizona. This is the second ad I'm going to show you. This is one that I've listed this month during July of 2024. So it's a new ad up in my store. It's a plain ad. It's an ad for laundry detergent. Uh, some people feel like that these ads may not sell. They want to sell cars and cigarettes and whiskey and cool stuff. But these mundane ads, as some of my viewers call them, sell as good as the other ones do. So uh, that's what this is, a kind of a mundane ad. Now, I mentioned I would talk more about my recent sales, though, and I don't know why sales have dropped off so much. This week is less than half of last week, and this week is less than a quarter of what it was 3 weeks ago. But I've looked at my store traffic. My store traffic is good. Um, so I don't have any issues with that. I'm actually very happy with the amount of traffic that's moving through the store. I just don't know why folks aren't buying right now, but I do have some ideas for trying to improve that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Uh, there is one thing that I wanted to mention that I didn't do this week. A week ago, when I was making last week's video, I stopped and I did that end and sell similar listings for 800 listings, but I didn't do that again for the second time during the week because I got up into the weekend and realized that I'd only had one sale over 4 days. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder how bad things can get. So I didn't do the end and sell similar process. I've not sent any offers at all this week. And a lot of times I'll drop, 10% offers to watchers, things like that. I don't add best offers to my listings in my store so people can't pitch offers at me. Uh, so I wanted to see how things would go if I didn't do anything for the rest of the week. I ended up having four more sales total, but not a good week in general. But I've got 111 watchers that I've accumulated during the past week, and so now, after I make this video, I will be sending out those 10% offers to those 111 viewers or watchers, and I don't know yet. I'm torn about whether or not I will apply any additional discount to the remainder of the ads in my store. So we'll talk about that next week. This ad right here, Salvo Laundry Detergent, went to a buyer in Oklahoma, and it's just about wash day. And you see one lady on wash day, she's covered up with her different water softeners and detergents and boosters and liquid bleach and everything else that she uses for her laundry. And the smart lady on the right's just dropping in a couple of Salvo tablets. They're low suds tablets. And it says there must be a simpler way to get my wash as clean as I like it. There is Salvo laundry detergent. So $12.77, sent this ad from Better Homes and Gardens magazine, 1965, to a buyer in Oklahoma. Next up is an interesting piece of history from George magazine, 1999. And in this ad, well, it's not really an ad. And if you'll notice, I don't say ad in the listing title. It's a magazine print from 1999. And this two-page spread was part of a larger series about women of influence. And some of them were actors or I should say actresses or political personalities or maybe people in academia. But this one right here caught my attention. Julia Butterfly Hill is a tree sitter in the redwood logging area. And when you look at the detail of this ad, actually, I'm going to switch to this image right here and then go to the text. And it says she is a lofty idealist. Back in December of 97, Pacific Lumber found that one of its trees had borne strange fruit. 180 feet above the floor of Northern California's headwaters forest on a 6 by 8 foot plywood platform sat an ex model named Julia Butterfly Hill. So basically, what she's doing is she was an activist for the Pacific Northwest, old growth forests, those giant redwoods, and all of that. This is the right side of the page. Here's a view of the left side. And I also did a view of the page here, uh, kind of panned out so that you can see that both pages together total about 11 inches by 16 inches. But $24.77 is the price that I sold this for, and it's going to a buyer in Massachusetts. This is one of the neatest sales that I've had in a long time. And I've explained before that one of the aspects of selling on eBay that I really like is the interaction with the customer, and especially when they give you feedback about what motivated them to purchase an ad or what their draw was to it. This appeared in Life magazine 1953, and it's a picture of Dr. J. Roscoe Miller of Northwestern University. And when you look at the detail here, it's got a nice picture of this handsome man right here. And then when you look at the bottom of the page, basically what he's written is a testimonial for Life magazine. He's telling you why he subscribes to Life and why he enjoys reading it. It says here that he is the president of Northwestern University, and apparently he was a medical student and for a while a practicing doctor before he got into the administration of education. But he found interest in Life magazine because it showed the details of medical advances from serums to sulfa drugs and penicillin and other antibiotics. And it says now pneumonia is no longer the dread disease it once was. He goes on to talk about treatments for heart disease and how Life has covered that over the years. And he says that he recalls that Life's reports were strictly factual and optimistic. And so he's given you a little bit of a personal perspective of what it was about the magazine that was of benefit to him, what he found interesting. But then on the personal side, he goes on and he talks about reading an article about a fraternity uh, uh, initiation, and he talks about the pictures that he saw of a mandrill baboon photographed in water. He says he was the saddest, maddest monkey he had ever seen, and that wasn't the picture of the week; it was the picture of the year. And he talks about how Life is a benefit to his family. Well, here's the cool thing that happened after this. I sold this ad for $16.77, and it's going to a buyer in Missouri. But the cool part is the buyer contacted me, and she said that her husband had never seen this. The man in the picture is her husband's grandfather. They didn't know this existed. And she said that she's buying it as a gift for her son. She intends to frame it and present it to him because her son is this fellow's namesake. So that's real interesting to see. It gives meaning to what we do as resellers. I love knowing that type of information about my sales. And so I hope you find it fun and interesting as well. 1677 Life Magazine, 1953, going to Missouri. Here is the fifth and final sale of the week. It's for a bronze statue of the thoroughbred racehorse Man o' War that was produced by Marilyn Newmark and mass produced and sold by the Franklin Mint. This ad ran in Classic Magazine 1977, and the detail here, the bottom left hand corner of the page says that this illustration is actual size. And this is a 2-page advertisement that is center folded, and it has a brass tag on the front of the plaque here that says it's the Man o' War by Marilyn Newmark. Uh, when you zoom out a little bit, this 2-page advertisement measures roughly 11 by 16 and a half. So that gives you an idea of what the actual sculpture size would be. On one half of the back is this introductory page to this advertisement, and it shows a different view of the sculpture. And then there is a separate sheet. So this is actually a 4-page ad. There's a separate sheet that tells some about the man of war horse, uh, his career as a racehorse, and also it gives you some detail about the production of the statue. $950 would have been the cost of that statue back in 1977, or that sculpture. But anyway, I sold the ad for $28.77, and it's on its way to Illinois. Now that I've shown you the ad that I sold for this sculpture, I decided, you know me, I'm the curious type. I had to go see if the sculpture is actually for sale on eBay. I did not find any sold comps, but I did find 2 active listings for the sculpture. This is the first one that I found. $1,750 is the price that this seller put on that signed Maryland Newmark bronze man of war jockey horse sculpture. They say it's in great condition. I've it's in very good condition, it looks like, but I do have a couple of things that I noticed in this image right here. It looks like this riding crop is kind of bent right there. See, it's straight above the hand and it goes down, but right below the horse's neck, it kind of bends a little bit. And then looking at the base, it looks like it needs a good deep cleaning. There's several views that show that there's some issues with dust or dirt, or whatever's accumulated on that base over the years. But anyway, fun and interesting to see that listed for $1,750. Here's the other one I found. Going to this image right here. This is the second one. Now they've got this one priced $400 more, and it is the same sculpture. Right here in this image, it looks like the base is dirty and all of that, but you look over at other pictures and it looks like that, maybe they photographed it again after they gave that some attention or something. But still issues with the riding crop. Above the hand here, I guess it's considered, you could say it's pretty straight, but here it kind of bends forward pretty sharp. And so it looks like there's some damage there. Both of those riding crops in these listings look different than the one in the magazine advertisement that I sold. So now that I found these $1,750 and $2,150, that got me curious. I was thinking, well, does that mean that sculpture would have been a good investment, because both of those prices are higher than 1977. In 1977, it would have sold for $950. I went to saving.org and I entered $950 and what inflation would have done to that since 1977. The equivalent of $950 in 1977 dollars is, in today's dollars, $5,007.02. And so basically that means that sculpture would have been a very poor investment if all it's going to bring is $2,150, say. That means that if you had invested your money in something that would have at least produced a rate of return equal to inflation, then that same $950 would have you, $5,007 now. Also, this chart reveals kind of what we're all living through here with the inflation of these past 3 years, and you can see what it's done to bend the end of that chart right there. So hopefully this inflation won't hang on much longer. For retirees like me, that inflation's been especially hard. But anyway, I think that was something kind of interesting to look at. And now we'll get back to the topic of magazine print ads. Now we're going to talk about the bonus topic. And since I don't have a great segue plan to transition to the bonus topic, I'm just going to say I declare it's bonus topic time. Here we go. A couple of weeks ago, I got in a great question from a viewer named Melissa Barker. And Melissa is uh, reliable in the comments. I always like hearing from Melissa, and she has some great questions and gives some good feedback. That's always appreciated. So recently, this is what I was working on last week, by the way, when I got distracted and ended up in the rabbit hole of a different bonus topic. But what I was looking at, Melissa, in her question in the comments says, I notice you don't put the name of the magazine or the full date, for the most part, in your listing title. First of all, why not? Second of all, do you send something to the buyer to tell them the source of the ad for their information and records when you ship the ad? And if you do, how do you do that on a 3x5 index card? And so you got to appreciate where Melissa's coming from, because she says that she has experience working as an archivist. And so not only is the document or the ad itself uh, important in archiving any kind of written information, but the provenance of it is also real important. And so uh, she is typically she deals with people who not only are interested in words and images, but the stories behind them. And so it makes sense that she would be concerned about people who, want some kind of documentation or additional information about the ads that they're purchasing. So I know that was the thinking behind her question. I responded in the comments, but I also wanted to address that here in the bonus topics. So, in response to Melissa's question, I decided to make this bonus topic too much information, based on the question, how much information is too much information? I don't disclose the magazine title and date, but why not? So I was thinking about this, and Melissa is observant. She did recognize that some of my listings do include the publication title. Those listings are from the first month or two of my store, when I was putting that information in the title. And then the more attention I paid to it, um, buyers didn't really seem to care. I noticed other sellers didn't use it. I was looking at sold comps, I was looking at other seller practices, and it just didn't seem to be an issue that buyers cared much about. I've since decided that I think buyers might care a little bit about the age of an ad or the era that it comes from. In some cases, they might care about the year, but I never get questions about dates that are more specific just for the sake of knowing the date. That's a question that never comes up from buyers. Um, Now, for archival and informational and documentation or documentary purposes, some buyers do ask, but I think that's a different thing than the casual buyer has an interest in. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. The second point that I make here is that if you used magazine titles in your listing titles, you'd be taking up space that you could be using to put keywords that buyers are actually searching for. I have yet to run across the magazine print ad buyer who only collects from Life or only collects from Saturday Evening Post or National Geographic or any other magazine. They want ads about things, events, services. They're not looking for ads from this magazine or that magazine. I think that's probably the least important thing to them. And so save your space for keywords that people are actually searching for, is my advice. The third point that I make here is that if you put the year and the title and the month, and if it's not a monthly publication, if it's a weekly or a bi-weekly publication, if you put the specific dates in there, you're giving the buyer exactly what they need to go and source that for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I grew up in hard times, and I'm not the kind of person who, would want to deny somebody the opportunity to buy an ad that they really, really want if they can't afford my price. That's why, I say in the fourth point on this graphic here that I will always supply that information if I'm asked, because what we do as sellers of these print ads, our part in it has value. We make the investment in the magazine. We take, invest the time to process it, organize it, list it, and then pack it well and ship it. There's value in that. But if someone can't afford, that part of the process, I still want them to have the ads that they're looking for. So that's why if they ask, I will always give that information up. The last part of that, though, in the fourth point, is that collectors who do want the information usually ask after the purchase. And I've got several buyers who are after advertisements for documentary purposes. And as Melissa can attest, people want to know sometimes where their ad is coming from, specifically, what magazine, what month, and so on. And so I don't deny them that information. I just don't put a lot of that out there up front. So that's what I do and why I do it. Now, let's talk about what other folks do real quick. I'm going to be 100% honest with you here and tell you that my early morning 7 a.m. optimism to bring you all some kind of an amazing graphic to show you what I found in other eBay stores today has clashed with this midnight reality that I'm in right now, because I spent quite a bit of time looking in those other eBay stores today, and I didn't find much at all that was exciting. So I'm just going to tell you about it real quick. Um, I did spend a lot of time on it. I looked at 20 different stores today. Well, I probably looked at 60 stores, but I found 20 that met the guidelines that I had set out. I wanted to find stores that the primary product of the store was print ads. Yeah, maybe they dabbled in some other stuff, but I wanted the print ads to be the primary part of the business. So I finally found 20 stores that met that criteria, that had at least 1,000 print ads listed. Now, among those 20 stores, two of them didn't disclose any information at all. It showed what the ad was and it described the ad, but it didn't even give a year. It didn't give a publication title. It didn't give a decade or anything else. In both of those two stores, though, I would say that the ads that I saw there were barely vintage, meaning they probably came from the 90s or the 2000s. I didn't see any very old ones at all. But that was the situation in two stores. I found one other store that did have ads going way back, but they didn't bother even to tell you the year of the ads. They just had written down in the title what decade it came from. It said this is a 1950s ad or a 1970s ad or so on. So that was the situation in one store. In 16 other stores that I looked at, they gave you the year of the ad, didn't mention the title of the publication at all. And then there was one store that I went to that gave you the year and the title, but they didn't mention the month or anything else about the publication date. So year and title in one store. And that's it. That's 20 different stores. And none of them were given uh, enough detail so that you could find the exact publication that the listing came from. So is it possible that I found the only 20 stores that don't give that information? Absolutely possible. There's no way for me to know. Um, these stores may be the exception rather than the rule. And yet, because it's what I found when I went looking, I wanted to share that with you. And, you can take it with a grain of salt. And as I always say, I'm in no position to instruct. I'm just here trying to inform. So you can take this information and, just think about it when you set up what you want to do in your store. With that, we're going to move on to the recap screen. And here's our weekly recap screen. Like you saw before, this week I had 5 ads sold for $97.85. Now, there's 4 categories here that we always consider. Did I have any sales going to a buyer with a surname that matched a name of a business or a name of someone mentioned in an ad? Well, technically, the answer is no. So I put 0, even though one ad is going back to the family of the person shown in the ad. But the second category here, any ads going back to the business's home city, not this week. No global shipping program sales this week, so no international sales. Also, did not have any repeat customers this week. So I've got a lot to work on. I've got a lot of ideas for showing you some great sales numbers next week. Cross your fingers with me that it picks up a little bit, and I'll be eager to show you what transpires this week when I see you here again next week. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.